Hello there, everybody. This is shadowgear635 here, doing a review of Combiner Wars Onslaught. Oh, this motherfucker. So, here is a story, by the way. Sorry for the delayed review for this. Life. Anyway, so, as I stated in the previous video when I reviewed the 4 limbs for Wave 4 of Combiner Wars, I mentioned that it took a long time for me to find Onslaught. Here's the story of what happened. Christmas of 2015, I received the 4 limbs because they were released early in stores. Could not find Onslaught, and refused to pay the extra amount of money, like the 40 or 50 bucks just for this figure. Not like it's a bad figure, just not worth that much money. So, I kept looking, and Elira can attest to this because she did most of the hunting with me. We went across most of New Jersey, well, not most of New Jersey, but pretty much most of South Jersey looking for this figure. No luck finding him. And I kept looking on my own up until my birthday, or at least end of January, where I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna buy him on Big Bad just like I got the limbs. And I did, and I put him together, and he was great. And then I wanted to get the Perfect Effect parts to go with him, which we'll get to that next. But, yeah, I finally got Onslaught, and I like him a lot. A lot of searching went into this figure, even though I found him in stores friggin' 2 weeks after I got him online. So, go figure. The same thing happened when I got Shockwave, too. So, Anyway, this is Combiner Wars Onslaught in his vehicle mode, which is this military truck. This is like a remold, redeco of Hotspot of Combiner Wars, who was originally this. Like, imagine this being a fire truck with a hose, with like not a hose, but a ladder on the back. Instead, they just flip this around, and it's just kind of this nondescript, like dark teal brick with wheels and a gun turret on the back. I mean, I kind of don't care for this mode. The wheels, like, some of them roll, but some of them don't. And that may be, like, the configuration that well, not even the configuration, but, like, the way he's together. Like, this mode, there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just, like, also, putting these legs together and then clicking them into this certain spot. Maybe it's just me, but I have a decently hard time. Like, I have to disconnect the legs and then put them back together. Like, this mode, like, I feel like I wish I got Hotspot now. In fact, I wish I got a lot more Combiner Wars at this point. Yeah, you can donate. But yeah, I think this is a better mold for Hotspot than it is for Onslaught. Robot mode, I disagree. Robot mode, I think, is really cool. But this mode is just, it just seems like an afterthought. And this whole section back here, like, you can tell, like, oh, here's Bruticus's crotch plate. Here's the chest piece. And here's friggin' Bruticus's head just hanging out. Look at him. But yeah, I think this mode is perfectly okay. If I have, like, the whole crew, the whole, like, combining team together, like, he's in the middle and everyone else is on the sides, like, it looks totally fine. By himself, he looks a bit odd. I don't know. Okay, let's get him in robot mode, and I'm not going to show up the transformation because there are, like, hundreds, if not thousands of people who could do a way better job than I could of showing it off, so I just want to tell you how I feel about the robot mode. And here we have Combiner Wars Onslaught in robot mode, and dude looks cool. This mold with Hotspot, or even the, the Victorion torso, who I forget her name. This mold is just awesome. Like, this is an awesome looking toy. Like, I like his tiny little, like, black bean head with the red visor. I do wish the red visor was a bit brighter, like more of a bright, opaque red, because I want a piercing red eye. Like, I don't care that none of the Combiner Wars figures don't have, you know, light piping in the heads, but I just wish, if you're not going to put light piping, make the eyes as bright as possible, when it's, you know, necessary or appropriate. But yeah, I just, like, the tiny little bean head, all the tech detail on the chest piece, I think is perhaps not necessary, but, like, it adds a bit more character to him. I like the thick shoulder pads that are superposable, by the way. Just, like, you can, I like having the shoulders like this, but I can also put them up like this and angle these arms down a bit. which looks a little bit silly, but it doesn't look out of place. So, yeah, there's that. I like the arms here. I like kind of the super double-jointed arms that are right down there. I think that's a nice touch. Small thing, I did paint some of this guy. The two major things I painted these coils that are on his arms. That's just normal black, not black, but the dark teal plastic. This is all one color. And I added some silver there to kind of break that up. I also added some silver here on the sides of the leg for when he's in, Bruticus mode. Just to fill that in, because it was bothering me that I kept looking at that like, that looks like that should be colored in. And so I colored it in. So, yeah, overall, like, this guy looks cool. Some people don't like the purple on him, especially, like, the purple, like, kind of, like, police, like, fire engine lights that were originally on Hotspot, and this is carried over from the Hotspot mold. And I like the purple. I mean, I don't care if it doesn't make sense. I just like that the purple breaks this blue and dark green up. Like, I don't know. I like how bright it is. I like how Decepticon purple it is. I think it's a very nice touch. The legs in general, I think, are cool. I mean, I wish there were more ratchets in this. Like, I wish there were more detents in that ratchet for it to have more subtle poses. But the way I have them oriented and kind of like this A stance, like, this is all I need, dude. Like, this just looks perfectly fine. And he doesn't have any feet, which I'm totally okay with, because, like, they sculpted the little stumps here for his thing to be, tilted so you can get him in that A stance. So that's a nice little touch. They can go all the way up, can bend over 90. Like, this dude's got posability, and the only thing he doesn't really have is a waist joint, which I feel like, considering how he's built, I'm not surprised he doesn't have a waist joint, but I think it would have been nice to have one. I don't know. Overall, I think Onslaught's really cool. Like, with a combiner, like, the main focus is, getting the giant robot out of the 5 dudes. But I feel like if the dudes... Like, that's one of the reasons I love Bruticus so much, is because the dudes by themselves have enough character on their own to warrant, like, taking apart the combiner and just having the separate dudes, posed on their own. And, like, for a military-themed combiner, this guy just looks friggin' tough. And I like putting his guns on his back here with his giant friggin' backpack, which also, thank God he has these fold-out heels in the back, otherwise he would just kind of flop over. But I like having this giant backpack. It looks a little bit bulbous, but I think it's totally okay. I think it's totally fine. I just love the way this guy looks. And before I get him in combined mode, there's one thing I love doing with this figure, with doing some poses and such, that he has the combining ports for the arms are right here on the shoulders. So you can just take these out, kind of fold these down, and you can just place the combined arm right there in the shoulder. So you can give an extra pair of arms if you so desire, which maybe looks a little bit silly, but I kind of like the posed idea. I'm going to get Blast Off on here too, because I may as well. So yeah, I'm going to bring this down and then plop him in. And that's what he looks like with the extra arms. You know what? Like, I think that looks cool. Like, you can get Onslaught in kind of like an arms crossed, like, yo, go beat the shit out of him kind of pose. And then you can just have these other pair of arms just be like, yo, we're gonna fuck shit up. And you can also do the same thing with the legs. It's a little bit sillier with the legs, but the ports for the legs are here on the bottoms of the feet. So you could straight up make Onslaught the torso, but not turn him into a torso yet. He can still be Onslaught with the limbs on him. I think that's cool. I think that's super cool. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to get this guy transformed, and we're going to make the combined form of Bruticus. The stock configuration of Bruticus, the one that Hasbro tells you to make. And, oh boy. And here's the stock configuration of Combiner Wars Bruticus, or as I like to call him, the leading tower of Bruticus. So this is like this is one of the things that really turned me off of Bruticus when I first got him. Like, oh man, I finally got him, and I built him this stock configuration before I got the perfect effect parts, and I'm like, wow, dude's leaning pretty heavy, isn't he? And it's not because he's like front heavy or anything. It's just because the ratchets in the hips are kind of fucked, where there's not enough detents in there to, like, even if I were to click these back once, you would get him in like, in this pose. and he's kind of leaning back now. So what I like to do is just like have one click forward and one click back, and then there's enough give in the joints to kind of balance him out. Then again, it's like that for the Perfect Effect version. For this one, I haven't messed around with it too much. But yeah, this is Bruticus. And you know what? I have my issues with the Combiner Wars combined forms. And it was one of the reasons why I never really got into picking up the figures when they first came out to begin with. Is because, like, I feel like, for those of you who are in the know about Transformers, we've had pretty shitty combiners. Like the video game Bruticus was okay, I guess. The Energon stuff was weird. Power Core was weird. I don't know. We've had really, like, I feel like we haven't had good combiners since, like, RID back in, like, the early 2000s. Like, those were the best combiners. And I feel like these are really awesome figures. Like, standalone, the limbs as their own robots, the torso as its own robot, like, they're all super fucking solid. The combined mode for all of these guys, with the exception of Superion, I feel like everything's right. Everything's correct. Like, the arms are a good length, the legs are a good length. The only thing that kills it for me is the torso here in the abdomen. Like, there's not, like, this is too short to me. Like, I feel like this needs to be extended and, like, bulked out a little bit more for the proportions to be just there. I'm not looking for, like, perfect human proportions, but I'm just looking for, like, you know, just a little more length here in the torso. And I've seen, like, you know, Shapeways add-ons that, like, oh, bulk out the shoulders or bulk out the legs. No, the limbs aren't the problem. The limbs are not the problem. It's the torso. And the only one that really gets away with it is Superion, because he's lanky enough and his torso is long enough to where, you know, with the jets, it looks totally okay. But with Bruticus here, like, this stock configuration looks a little bit, not bad, it's just, it's like a standard Hasbro toy. And you know what? Posability, you can pose them. Like, the arms are, like, totally fine. I think, again, I feel like there could be more ratchets here, but for what I usually pose them with, that's fine. I kind of click them back once, and then get this arm nice and rested here, and that looks pretty good. Legs here, the hips are kind of a bummer, because they're Onslaught's hips, which isn't a bad thing, but because, especially if you take this piece off, you can see how short the torso is. Like, you can put that leg up, and it stays, more or less, but it just looks super awkward to have him just, like, be put in one of these poses, because he just looks broken. He just doesn't look all that great. But the knees are okay. The knees have a good bend. Another major complaint I have with these are the hand-foot guns, or just these weapons that are used to make the hands and feet, which I feel like is an awesome idea, but I feel like maybe I'm spoiled because the thing that got me into wanting to get Combiner Wars were those Perfect Effect add-ons that fixed the major issues I had. And there's another configuration with this Bruticus torso, which I'll cover in the Perfect Effect video. But in general, I think that these feet, like, the hands look way too big. Like, the guns on the knuckles, I don't mind all that much, but the hands look way too big and the feet are way too small. Way too small. Like, I feel like especially for a dude like Bruticus, I feel like he needs way bigger feet. At least feet that are the same width as the leg. It looks a bit off. And I mean, again, I'll talk about Superion probably in another video, but Superion, he works because all of his limbs are the jets. And with the jets, it looks a little bit better because they're all smaller limbs. This guy, he has kind of smaller arms, but bulky legs. So he needs bigger feet to accommodate it. Even if he just had bigger feet, I'd be totally okay with this. But because his feet are so freaking tiny, it just looks a little bit weird. But you can, I mean, generally I like to just, well, not like, because I barely pose him with this stock configuration, but it looks okay. I like the torso on its own. I feel like the hips kind of suck, and it's short, but like the way it's constructed, the way you make the torso from Onslaught is super cool. I like this silver chest plate. I think it looks nice. The big bright purple Decepticon logo, the purple stripes that are right here on the side, the added purple, those siren pieces on the side to add more color to this guy. It looks really cool. I like the shoulder, these shoulder arms that are right here, which are Onslaught's arms. But they add this nice, like, kind of bulked out look to them. I like that the cannons from Onslaught, you can just pivot them around and make them cannons for Bruticus. That's super rad. People complain about this head sculpt being black as opposed to silver. I don't care. I like the black a lot better, and I love this head sculpt quite a bit. I think it's super cool. Again, I feel like I wish the red was a bit brighter for the eyes, but I don't know. Like I think in general, Bruticus is really cool, and I feel like I don't know, because I spent a lot of friggin' time looking for Onslaught to make this Bruticus. Was I satisfied in the end? Friggin' totally. I love... It's that situation where, like, I look at him on my shelf and go, yeah, that guy looks fucking cool. And I bring him down, like maybe once every a couple times during the week and play around with him and take him apart and mess with the dudes. And he's just great. But the reason why I like him so much is with the Perfect Effect feat, which again I'll cover. I'm sorry I keep mentioning it, but I'll bring him up in the next review of these guys. Like that's what made it for me. But this stock configuration, like it kind of soured me because it's exactly what I expected. And there are just small bits of this stock configuration that kind of turn me off to Bruticus. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I mean, this is still a really good figure. Like getting these guys on their own is worth it alone outside of the combined mode. Like, I was won over with the individual robots on their own way more than the combined mode. But then once I got the right hands and feet for them and messed around with this torso to make it look a bit better, this... I don't know. I like this. I like all the dudes. I am going to stop rambling, so I'm sorry. But yeah, this is Bruticus. Probably can't find him in stores anymore, but there's probably a lot of places online where you can still pick him up. Whether you can like probably an eBay auction or whatever, you can buy all these dudes together and do that instead, whatever you prefer. But yeah, next time I cover these guys, it'll be with the hands and feet from Perfect Effect, and yeah. So, thanks for watching this video and hearing me ramble about Transformers. I know someone's probably really upset. So, thank you guys. This has been shadowgear655, and see you folks another time. Goodbye.